Did Locked On Badgers just land a five-star guest? I think I kind of did. We got a banger of a show with an elite guest coming up. We're going to talk about that 26 class and just reflect a little bit on somebody's journey. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. You guys are going to love this one.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Thank you for being an everydayer, for being with us as we build this community up. And we got a special guest today. We got Zach Zilm Jr. joining the show, former assistant director of player personnel, Wisconsin Badgers, now Raiders as a player personnel assistant. Dude, first of all, congratulations, man. What an incredible move.
Appreciate you, man. Definitely. I really appreciate that.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, you're moving on to the Raiders. You're going to be in the NFL. When you look back at your time in Madison with the Badgers, how difficult was that transition? And what do you take from your time with this Badger staff?
Yeah, it was definitely very tough for me to leave Wisconsin, especially being born and raised in Madison, growing up a Badger fan. Really, I always wanted to play there. So, it was really a dream job for me. So it was definitely tough for me to leave, especially with that being home, family and friends all there, obviously all my boys on the staff. So, yeah, man, it was really tough to leave, but it's always been a dream of mine to be in the NFL, and, it's very hard to get in. So, I just kind of had to take that first opportunity and run with it. So.
Had a question here from a couple of people who are excited that you were going to be on the show. This one was from BPS. It ties into what we're talking about. Give us three things you're going to miss about Madison the most.
I'm going to miss, especially since I've kind of got settled in and being here. One of the things that I'm going to miss is definitely like the fall weather. Doesn't seem like it's going to be like that out here, especially with the heat. It's, 106 degrees right now. You walk outside, it's blazing hot. It's not humid though, which is nice. But definitely going to miss like the weather in terms of the fall weather. Definitely going to miss the people that I worked with, Pat, B Rose, Zay, Ethan, Jared Thompson, Grant, Bishop. I'm going to miss all those guys, obviously all the coaches as well. And then I'm going to miss my family and friends. Again, like I said earlier, I was born and raised there. All my people are there. So it was really tough to leave all those guys and leave my family and friends, man. So.
Yeah, I get that for sure. I want to take under the hood in the recruiting department a little bit with what you're able to talk about. I think, how does that work exactly? You mentioned a bunch of names. I know those names. I think a lot of Badger fans probably don't know some of those names yet. How does that process work exactly under the hood? What does that inside the recruiting department look like?
Yeah. So kind of how it works is at the top, obviously, we got Marcus Sedbury, who's our GM. And then under him is Pat Lambert and then Ethan Russo. And then that's kind of like where the assistant director of player personnel come in, which was myself, Zay, and then B Rose. And then Jared Thompson, obviously, is college scouting coordinator, and then Grant Anderson, the high school scouting coordinator. And then we got a bunch of students under us. So really, we kind of use the students as funnels up to us, and then we kind of determine who gets in front of the coaches and whatnot. Is basically to be a short example of how that works.
And then do the different coaches have different positions? So, for example, you've done a lot of work with Amari Lattimer in the 26 class. How did he fall into your funnel?
Yeah. So it's kind of broken down by positions. So when I was there, I did like all the lead recruiting and film evaluation for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. And it started out for me just as running backs and tight ends. And then as I grew in that role, obviously got a little bit more responsibility. So, I was on the offensive side essentially, and I really enjoyed it, especially, with me playing quarterback. I've always been an offensive guy. So being able to help on that side was awesome.
One of the questions we got too, what are some things from Big Tuna over on our Discord? What are some things you guys look for in high school recruits when you're scouting? How can a prospect differentiate himself from others?
Yeah. So really kind of what we look for, it's obviously going to be the measurables at first. And then we'll turn on like the highlight tape. And then sometimes we'll even get into like the camp tape. So if they go to like a Rivals or something like that, we'll watch that. And really just kind of, Twitter is obviously a very big tool, or X, excuse me. That's a really big tool for us, just seeing kind of, every kid post their offer. So being able to kind of see, who's getting offered by who. And then, the kids always post like their highlight tapes and stuff. So just kind of seeing who that kid is and popping on the highlight tape. That's why it's very important for high school kids to, order their highlight tape. Essentially, some kids will just do it by season or by in terms of the season. So first game, second game, third game. Really, you kind of want to have it, in order of best play, most explosive plays, stuff like that. Obviously, looking at like track times, combine times, stuff like that.
Who's the quickest you said yes to in watching film? Like you turn the huddle film on, the whatever film you had, and you said within a minute, you're like, yes, that's a guy we're offering.
There's been quite a few of them. I'll just shout out my boy Amari Lattimer. Yeah, that was and Jayden Petit, man. You just turn on those guys' tape and it's just like it's a no-brainer, But there's been so many of them. There's so many examples I could give, but those guys are my boys, and just want to give them a quick shout out. So
let me ask you this. I want to get it more into some of those 26 guys that you helped recruit, but this particular offseason, bringing in some of the pieces you brought in, this program brought in.
Yeah.
What did this team address this offseason? How is this team maybe different than last year?
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of like the glaring thing that I think that most people would recognize is we addressed the defensive line room. Got a lot bigger, stronger up there. So that's kind of like one of the big like glaring things that we addressed, in my opinion.
Was there surprise with how, and I know you've been transitioning here recently into this new role, but Mason Reiger has come in and just dominated camp at times. Some of the practices I've been in, I see you smiling. Like he looks incredible.
Yeah, man. He looks like Superman, man. He looks like a freak. So, being able to kind of see him go through the off season, I know he battled some stuff in terms of injuries and whatnot, but yeah, just seeing him kind of work out and stuff, it was it was a treat to say the least, man. He's a freak in the weight room, and I'm obviously not with the program anymore right now, but being able to kind of see stuff on Twitter in terms of like reports and stuff, it doesn't really surprise me. But yeah, man, he's a freak show for sure.
And he's wired the right way. Like I was telling somebody on a show I did recently, I was down in Platteville, and they threw a screen to Dupree over the top. Reiger almost blew up the screen in the backfield and then almost chased Dupree down at the 50-yard line to punch the ball out. Like he's just wired differently. How do you evaluate prospects for that? Because that mental, that intangible side is so important. Does that come on the site visits?
Yeah. Really, when you get them in, you really just kind of get a feel for those guys and kind of how they're wired, and you just kind of ask them little questions here and there, and then you can just kind of put it all together. It's really like building a puzzle. You know what I mean? So you just kind of, obviously the tape is going to be what interests you first, and then getting them on campus and getting to know them as people, and just kind of building that relationship and really getting to see how they're wired and how they think. And yeah, you just kind of put that puzzle together, and when they're a fit, and you just go recruit them, man.
What's it like? I always wonder this because part of your job is rejection. Part of your job is you're not going to win every battle. No school does, right? No recruiter does.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience that in high school. I got rejected a ton, so I kind of know that feel. But what is it like when you've invested so much in a prospect, and even when they commit to your school, and then a month later they decommit, go somewhere else? How do you guys process that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man, it's really tough, especially because you're spending months, years on the phone with these guys, building relationships with them and their family. And, it definitely hurts because you kind of see them as not like your like little brothers in a way, you know what I mean? So then it's just kind of like, it just really hurts. And it's a tough thing to process when something like that happens to you, because you're invested and you care. And it just really hurts when something like that happens to you. And whether you've been recruiting that kid or not, you feel for whoever's been recruiting them or however it may be. We are a family. You know what I mean? So we take care of each other. We took care of each other's recruits, and it just hurts, man. And everybody gets to know every kid when they come on campus. So it's a tough feeling.
We got a bunch more to get into with Coach Zilm, including some thoughts on this 26th class. But first, a word from our sponsors, our incredible sponsors over at Gametime. If you want to get a ticket to Camp Randall, Cole Center, whatever it is, Gametime's the place to do it. It is the ultimate marketplace for tickets, and we should all try to do more stuff in life, more things in life. You're never going to regret it. So let's go to those places we want to go. Let's go meet up with those people that we want to meet up with, and let's go see those experiences we want to see. And the best way to do that is over at Game Time. You get flash deals, lowest prices, tons of inventory across a wide swath of events. Plus, the tickets get delivered to your phone, to your email, which makes it simple, it's easy, it's cheap. There's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to come to Game Time to get all your ticketing needs. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. You can create the account reading code Locked On College for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Is there almost a point sometimes too? And listen, kids can make a lot of different decisions that are. I've told some kids sometimes when they have maybe a Wisconsin offer and a Michigan offer, and I'm like, hey, you have a lot of good options here. I mean, I want you to go to Wisconsin, but there must be sometimes you see a player make a decision to a place that without naming names, that's not a good decision just for you. You don't even have to come here, but like you're not going to succeed there, right?
Yes.
And what is that like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's tough too because a lot of it, depending on the type of person you are, you just once you build those relationships, like you genuinely care for the kid. Um, so seeing some kids make a choice that you might not agree with, that kind of hurts too, especially when you've been recruiting them and you want them to come to Wisconsin or wherever you may be at. It's tough, kind of seeing the recruit go somewhere else, regardless of what the situation is, whether you see it as a fit or not. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's tough in both situations.
Talk to me a little bit about Pat Lambert. Obviously, kind of one of the anchors in that recruiting room, kind of the leader of this group to some degree. What is he like, and what have you learned from him?
Man, I love Pat. Pat's a great dude, man, and he really cares about his people. And that was kind of one of the glaring things that kind of stood out to me. Working there, and just he wants to take care of his people too, which was always very appealing to me, and why I stayed as long as I did. And obviously, I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was from there, and my family was there. In terms of going to another college, and it was just a really good time working for him. He's a fun dude, loves to have a good time. So I just really learned about the relationship aspect from him. Building those relationships with kids, and he works extremely hard, man. He works really, really hard, and I just really enjoyed my time with him. And he was one of the first people I talked to, and he was one of the guys that brought me in as a intern when I first got started there. So I have so much love for Pat. He's a great guy, and I see him as a friend for life, honestly. So
I love that. And I know I've talked to him a little bit here and there. One of the things that always struck me is I think it's really easy to look at the type of jobs that you guys do from the outside as a sports fan and be like, gosh, that is an amazing job. And it probably is. But the hours and the work that it takes to do this kind of stuff, is that maybe one of the more misrepresented parts of the job?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think a lot of people know how much time and effort goes into the whole recruiting aspect of it. I mean, you're missing time with your family and friends, and you're really putting the team before everything, and that's literal. You know what I mean? And so it's fun. It's a grind. You got to be a certain type of person to work in that role. But personally, I loved it, man. It was ball, and I was just working on trying to make Wisconsin better, and so is everybody in that program. You know what I mean? So I have the utmost respect for anyone that does that stuff, and everyone else should too, man. It's a tough industry, So yeah.
Is there ever a time besides sleeping, and maybe not even then, when your phone is off?
No, man, the phone's always on, man. You just never know when you're gonna get a call from whoever about whatever, So you just gotta always kind of be on your toes. Sometimes it's hard to sleep, So just being accessible and ready to rock and roll at any time. Yeah, man, that's the name of the game. So
Let's talk a little bit about that 26th class, because again, I want to be super respectful of your time. I know you got a bunch going on, but the class that's coming together, not there yet. We haven't read NSD, but Amari Lattimer, one of the guys you mentioned, a player you built a big relationship with. You said it took you about a couple seconds to turn on the film. By the way, I don't want to throw any shade to any recruiting sites out there because we both know great people that work for those sites. But a certain site out there has Lattimer like the 24th best running back in the country, like a high 3-star guy.
Yeah, man. It's I try not to get into the rankings and look at that stuff too much, but that's also the name of the game too. Like, you got to check those rankings websites here and there, and you kind of, once you start getting into the recruiting process a little bit more, and just kind of, you watch all those guys, so just kind of on your own seeing where those guys are ranked, and you're just like, man, I don't know what they're thinking, but yeah, in terms of Amari, should definitely be ranked higher, and I'm gonna just leave it at that for right now.
I think it's fair. What about his game? Like I've watched the film. I think a lot of Badger fans are really get into this. Watch the film. You see the size. You see the power. You see the ability to catch the ball. You see the physical nature. What else about his game makes him special?
Yeah, man, he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, man, and he's for as big as he is, he's explosive. He's got that short area quickness that is pretty rare in someone his size. Like you said, he can catch the ball. He can do pretty much everything that you want him to, So he's a great football player, and he works extremely hard, and he loves ball just like his brother. So he's a very, very special player.
Well, and I know you built a great relationship with that family. Talk about his older brother, obviously, Amari Lattimer playing cornerback. Probably going to be the starting slot for the Badgers this year. At least that's where some of the reps make it look. What is he like?
Yeah, man, he's a dog, man. He has the right mentality. Amari and G are a little bit different personality wise. G's a little more quiet and reserved, but man, he's a dog, and he's got the right mentality, and he's gonna give 115% on every single rep. Doesn't matter, walk through, run through, whatever it may be. Like he's a dog, man, and he's gonna work really, really hard. And he was under recruited, kind of like we were talking about earlier. He played quarterback in high school, so he wasn't really recruited as heavily as Amari, essentially. And G's going to be a really good player. So
let's finish up on Lattimer. The Badgers may not need it, right? You look at a Dylan that's going to be there next year, Dupree getting a Tuca, but he feels like a guy that is going to be pretty physically ready day one. How do you keep a guy like that off the field?
I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that running back room is very special right now. And Amari's gonna come in and fit in really well with them. And he's a big dude, man. If you ever bump into him or anything, the dude's a solid rock. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's very physically gifted, and obviously he's worked really hard to be that way. So yeah, man, I think he's going to be a special player, especially for his stature as going into a senior year. So
last one here, just on the recruiting win itself. Did you have people reach out to you and then just be a little surprised that Wisconsin was able to pull a guy like that from Georgia with that type of offer list? That's a huge win for the Badgers.
Absolutely, and I agree. I mean, I've had my fair share of people reaching out, just saying like, wow, you guys got a kid from Georgia all the way up to Wisconsin. And, it was, I wouldn't say it was like one of my goals or anything, but, I just wanted to recruit the best running back that I could. And I felt like me and Coach Spalding and obviously Coach Grimes and Coach Fickle did a really good job with being able to pull him out of Georgia, especially with all the offers that he has. So
let's shift a little bit to another of not Georgia kid, but kid from the South, Jayden Petit, big time physical receiver. I see you smiling, man. Big frame. I talked to his trainer, and I just fell more in love with the kid after talking to the trainer. He raved about Wisconsin and the reason we're going there. Talk to me a little bit about his game and his recruitment.
Yeah. So his trainer, is it Jackson? Is that who you're talking to? Yeah. Love Jackson. Jackson's a great dude, man. But yeah, Jayden's special as well. Obviously, 6'4", 6'5", 210, 220, just a really, really big physical freak. He's a hooper. He can run. He's very strong and explosive. He's got strong hands. I mean, he's going to be special as well. So it was really fun to recruit him. I love his dad. His dad's awesome, James. Really, really, really good dude. I stay in touch with all these people, still to this day. So I'm just really excited for us to be able to get those two, and that class is coming together from all aspects of all the positions and everything. So I'm just really excited for the whole class, and I'm excited for the guys that I recruited, and I'm going to stay in touch with those guys, and Jayden's going to be a really, really good player as well. So
Does he remind you of anybody, Petit?
I don't want to get into comps or anything, and this might be a little bit far fetched, but it kind of reminds me of Julio, just kind of with the Julio Jones, just kind of physical freak and just being able to do a little bit of everything. He can run, strong hands, physical. So
His film is phenomenal, and one of the things they were talking about this offseason is they were working on getting him a little faster,
yeah,
refining some of the technique aspects but you can't teach 6'5" with that speed and that body control. Like, you just can't teach those things.
yeah, no, exactly, definitely. And he's another kid that's physically gifted, and he's working really, really hard to hone in on the things that he needs to work on, and he's just a great kid too, man. All those guys that in that 26 class, they're all great people first, and that's where we start with everything, is just kind of getting to know them, and yeah.
Can we switch gears, talk to Ryan Hopkins a little bit, quarterback out at Mater Dei?
Yep.
You talk about an athlete. The speed. I don't know. I said this on an earlier show when he committed. I don't know if the Badgers have recruited a toolsier quarterback. That doesn't mean he'll be the best quarterback, but just from in terms of height, running ability, arm strength, what is his game like, and what is that recruitment like?
Yeah, yeah. Ryan's awesome too, man. Like I said, they're all great kids. But yeah, he's definitely different in terms of the type of quarterback that he is. He can do a little bit of everything. Kind of probably the one thing that's going to pop out most to you when you turn on his film is how he can run. I mean, the kid runs a 10.6. He's flying on the field, playing against good competition. He's got a great arm, very accurate. He's got a nice touch. So yeah, it was fun recruiting Ryan, and again, his family's great as well. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for his season coming up here at Mater Dei. Making that transition over there, playing with some really, really good players and playing some really good competition. So that's only going to make him better too. So I'm just really excited for him, and I'm sure Badger Nation's excited for Ryan too.
Dude, they are. Let me ask you that. So fans look at things differently than and obviously you grew up, you're a fan, but then you started working for the program. Fans, some people, and I brought this up too, say, well, geez, man, he goes to Mater Dei. What if he blows up there? Like, do you guys ever think about stuff like that, or is that just like a fan thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely crosses your mind, but you just got to be confident in what you did during his recruitment before he got there, and you just got to really rely on your relationships. And Coach Guyton has done a really, really good job. Coach Grimes, Coach Fickle, have done a really, really good job in terms of building that relationship with him. And it crosses your mind for sure, but I don't think it's really thought of too much. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh my gosh, we got to panic, red alert, sound the alarms. Like it's not like that, in my opinion.
One of the things I've heard about Coach Guyton, obviously coming in as a new quarterbacks coach, is just a really, really incredibly good person. Like, he connects to people. He's authentic. It feels like a guy who's going to have a lot of success, not just as a recruiter, but as a coach developing some of these young guys.
100%, man. Coach G, man, that's my guy, man. I love that dude. I've gone golfing with him quite a bit, and he's just a good person, man. He's so fun to be around. He's always energetic. He's always himself too. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him upset or mad or anything like that. He's just always happy-go-lucky, just always ready to have a good time. And when it's time to work, he's gonna work. But he brings a positive light anytime you're around him, and it's really a joy to be in his presence.
What's his golf game like?
He's a work in progress. He just started a little bit ago. For how long he's been playing, he's actually pretty solid, I would say. So, yeah, Coach G, if you see this, man, just keep working on your game.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Work in progress. He's an athlete. He'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. He played quarterback at Ohio State, man. He's an athlete, so he'll be able to figure it out. And every time we've gone out there, he's gotten better and better. And I'm not the greatest golfer in the world either, but yeah, he does a good job. So I love Coach G, man.
Quick question. Then, like, I'm going to wrap this up in a few minutes because I want to be super respectful of your time. Who is the best golfer on staff?
It's a great question. I haven't necessarily golfed with everybody, but right now I'd probably give the nod to Coach Spalding.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, Coach Spalding's he's a really good golfer, man. You should see him off the tee box, man. he can blast the ball, so it's fun being with him out there too. So
That's phenomenal stuff. Let's really quickly talk about the pair of tight ends in this 26 class so far.
yeah,
The two Jacks, you got Jayden and Severs. A little different players, but both kind of really nice pickups for us so far. What are your thoughts on both those two?
yeah, the Jack Attack, man. I love those dudes too, man. They're great kids. Jack Severs, he's gonna be that athletic tight end that can do a little bit of everything. And he keeps getting better. He's a big dude, man. Like when I first seen him and he came on campus, wasn't as big as he is now. So it's really cool to see that. And I know he's always working hard. Great kid, great family. And he's a really good athlete. Played a lot of sports. I think Jack will be special. Same thing with Jack Janda, great kid, again, great family. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing a reoccurring theme here with these guys. But yeah, and Jack Janda is a really big dude, man, like big. So I'm really excited for him. He didn't really get to play too much last year, so being able to kind of see exactly what he's going to do this year is going to be really, really fun. He's battled some injuries in the past, but he's a big dude. I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited for all these guys, man. They're gonna be special kids, man. So
Got a couple of your questions to finish this up. One person, Hooger, wanted to know, how do you get into the business of recruiting? I just want to learn more about that process.
yeah. So I'll kind of talk about my process and kind of how I got back into it. So really what I did was, and a lot of this industry is about who you know, not what you know. So really just kind of reaching out and building a network. I get a ton of messages on LinkedIn all the time, and that's really kind of where I started. So just really reaching out to people and being willing to, and it's not for everybody, and being willing to work for free. That's really like the start, and that's how you're gonna, be intriguing to somebody, is kind of volunteering your time. And sure, if you've seen, head coaches talk about they had to work for free as a GA, and they were running to get coffee or doing whatever they had to do, and that's really what it is. It's just kind of trying to get your foot in the door any way possible. It doesn't matter where it is, just being in football, and then you just keep going from there, networking. And nobody's too big or too small to reach out to. Reach out to interns, reach out to assistants, reach out to assistant directors, whoever it may be. You just gotta reach out to people and build that network and show how willing you are to do the job. And it always helps too if you have some sort of, like, if you've done your own scouting reports, sending that as well as your resume. And always looking for reaching out to people. And a big thing too is how you get somebody's attention is asking for advice. Not even like, I get a ton of messages or emails or whatever it may be, just being like, oh, hey, here's my resume, do you have anything open? And it's like, one, I don't really do hiring, but two, it's like, I don't know you. How can I hire you if I don't know you? You know what I mean? So just being able to kind of find a way to build a relationship before you're really trying to, like, get a job. Like anytime anyone reaches out, like, we know you want a job. You know what I mean? So just being able to, build that relationship and networking. It's the really, really, really big. It's the number one thing, so.
I love that stuff. It's good stuff, man. Question here about just kind of where recruiting is headed from Brian Shetty. Does it feel like things are going to be more enforced? Does it continue to be a bit of a Wild West feel? Like, just kind of a hard question to exactly answer because the NCAA is always changing. We know this, and other entities. But what's your gut feel here?
Yeah, I'd say my gut feeling is there's got to be some sort of enforcement. I don't know what that looks like. That's way above my pay grade. I have zero clue, but there needs to be some sort of, regulation and rules. It does feel like the Wild West, but I'm hoping and praying that something happens in terms of that, just to have some more more regulation and rules with it, man. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know, what those rules would be, but there needs to be something. That's all I know.
Kind of last question here, man, to get you out the door under 30 minutes. Again, I know you got a bunch going on, and I am crazy appreciative of your time. You and I have talked quite a bit off, but to do this, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I think people are going to enjoy this.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. And
Dude,
we've been talking for a while, so I just wanted to kind of pay you back a little bit, man. You've been great to me, so I just wanted to return the favor. And
oh
I
man,
really, really appreciate you having me on here, man.
you didn't owe me anything, but thank you.
Yeah.
Last question here. What are you most? You're obviously going to be watching from afar, but I know you're still going to be following and paying attention. What are you most excited about with just this direction of the Badgers football program?
Yeah, and I'm very, very excited, and I'm going to be locked in as much as I can, in terms of my schedule, just being able to try to watch as many games as possible. But I'm excited about the direction that everything's going, man. I feel really good about where the Badgers are headed and where Coach Fickle is taking the program. So I'm just excited to see how this thing keeps going and keeps moving along. And
I love it. He is Zach Zilm Jr. Now with the Oakland Raiders, formerly the Wisconsin Badgers. Dude, really do appreciate you so much on Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk tomorrow.
yeah, I'm Wisconsin, man, always.